what actually happens right from when we are very, very little, and how all the games that our parents play with us, that our teachers play with us, and so on, really help us with executive functioning skills. So let me just begin. I hope you can see a photograph on the screen. What does it remind you of?
It's a traffic jam, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. It's a traffic jam. And I think most of us have seen this in all our cities of India. Now think of, similarly, all sorts of information, trying to travel into your brain. Think of that happening in your brain if there is no control system. Okay, so this is what would happen to your brain if with so many things penetrating through all your senses, सभी senses के साथ ये आप कुछ देख रहे हो, आप कुछ सुन रहे हो, and the whole scenario is such that things are just banging into your brain. This would be what would happen. So we have a traffic control system in our brain, better known as executive functioning skill. So this is what happens, where, like I said, if through all our senses, there are so many things penetrating our brain that we are hearing things, seeing things, feeling things at the same time. And then what we choose to attend to, जो हम attend कर रहे हैं, वो हिसाब से हम वो information accumulate करते हैं हमारी memory में. पर ये सब काम कौन करता है? ये सब काम हमारा एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शन करते हैं. तो बेसिकली इट्स अ बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक ऑफ अर्ली डेवलपमेंट. All these things that we learn from childhood, we learn it in bits and pieces from all the people around us and through our experiences. And these all things that we have learned, they enhance our cognitive and social capacities in future, so that we can be like any other person around us as adults. So what is the role of executive functioning in our brain? वो काम क्या करता है? वो information manage करता है. Like I said earlier, so many things are penetrating into your brain through your different senses. So all that information is managed. It makes decisions for you as to whether that information is adequate for you. आपको ये information रखना है दिमाग में, या फिर ये information useless है आपके लिए. It helps you to make that decision, and it also helps in memory. ये information जो आप बाद में आपको लगता है कि ओके, ये मुझे अभी आज मैं सुन रही हूँ about executive functioning, I may keep certain bits and pieces of it in my mind, and it will enter my long-term memory, which I will then use that information much later, maybe in my classroom, maybe with my children, and so on. It also helps me to plan ahead. We will see how each part of the executive functioning setup helps us for attaining the information, for gathering it in our memory, to make our decision, to organize, and to plan. Okay. Now, if you see on your left, the boy with the yellow t-shirt, if the information is, if the executive functioning skill is not adequately functioning, बराबर से नहीं function हो रहा है, तो कितना जम्मिल हो रहा है. पर अगर वो बराबर से function करता है, तो वो आगे बढ़ के learning में आपको, academics learning में आपको मदद करेगा. वो आपके development will be better in all ways. in all your domains of development, from physical to social to cognitive. Of course, your behavior will be conducive to the environment. मतलब आप positive behavior दिखाओगे आपकी environment में. आपके choices as an adult भी healthy होंगे. And वो हमारे लिए and for our family. So this is what the need for executive functioning is. Moving on to the executive functioning. Moving on to the skills that executive functioning का जो unit है, वो उसके अंदर 3 skill हम बार बार देखते हैं. वो skills हैं working memory, mental flexibility और inhibitory control. हर एक ये 3 skill या ये 3 functions मिला के हमारे executive functioning अच्छी तरीके से आगे आप function कर सकोगे in the society. So let us look at each one. So your working memory, as you can see कि screen पे आपको दिखाई देगा कि एक sticky note जैसा रखा है. वर्किंग मेमोरी वैसे ही है, एक स्टिकी नोट की तरह, जो इतना ही इंफॉर्मेशन हमारे दिमाग में होल्ड करता है जब तक कि आप उसको कनेक्ट करो नए इंफॉर्मेशन को, पुराने इंफॉर्मेशन को जो ऑलरेडी आपकी मेमोरी में है. मतलब जैसे पियाजे ने भी कहा है कि हमारी मेमोरी बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स है. हम स्कीमा अक्यूमुलेट करते हैं और बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स के हिसाब से हमारी मेमोरी बढ़ती है. तो पहले बच्चे ने देखा है कि ओके, मम्मी ने कहा ये कैट है. फिर ऐसे ही 4 पैर वाला, एक सर और 2 कान वगैरह और छोटा सा जो 4 पैरों पे एक पूंछ के साथ चलता है, वो मुझे ऐसे ही एक अलग सा दिखा, पर मुझे लगा वो कैट ही है, जब तक मम्मी ने कहा नहीं वो डॉग है. तो ऐसा हमें नया इंफॉर्मेशन अक्यूमुलेट कर रहे हैं, अकोमोडेट कर रहे हैं, वो काम कौन करता है? ये हमारा वर्किंग मेमोरी काम करता है. The brain can work with that information without losing track of what we are doing. For example, आपने आपके पड़ोसी या आपके नए फ्रेंड को पूछा कि आप मुझे फोन नंबर आपका दे दीजिए, और उन्होंने बोला और आपने वो नंबर आपकी वर्किंग मेमोरी में होल्ड करके रखा जब तक कि आप लिखोगे नहीं. तो आपका जो काम हो रहा था, लिखना, सुनना वगैरह, एंड मे बी आफ्टरवर्ड्स यू विल वांट टू टॉक टू द लेडी मोर और द जेंटलमैन मोर, तब तक आपके मेमोरी में, ये वर्किंग मेमोरी में ये नंबर रहा है. जब भी आपने रिकॉर्ड कर दिया, या आपने फिर उसके बाद जाके आपके ऑन द चिट ऑफ पेपर दैट यू हैव रिटन, मे बी यू हैव रिवाइज्ड इट और यू हैव पुट इट ऑन योर फोन, it is there in memory. In the earlier days, we used to learn phone numbers, okay, because there was no device to store it other than maybe a diary. We were using our working memory very much more. In the classroom, आपने बच्चे को बोला add 2 plus 2. अभी ये जो numbers है 2 plus 2, okay, बच्चे ने दिमाग में रखा. वो जो दिमाग में रखा है, वो है वर्किंग मेमोरी का फंक्शन. 2 plus 2. Okay, so I have put 2 in my mind and I'm putting 2 on my fingers, and from 2 I'm taking 3. Now how did I know 3? 3 was already in my memory, so I have brought that out. Similarly, I count 3, 4, and then I say okay, 4. How did I get that answer? Also I can tell my teacher. So that is all the role of working memory. Next one comes mental flexibility. This is also a very important factor, जहाँ पे you have to sustain or shift the attention to and apply different rules in different situations. Okay. For example, I want to, my children in my class I'm going to teach them how to do turn taking. Lots of children, lots of schools, we do turn taking. Okay. So turn taking. Now, what does the child have to know? The child has to know that he has to wait for his turn. Okay. So waiting is one factor. Then when probably suppose it's ball in the basket, for example. तो मेरा टर्न आया, मुझे क्या करना है उस बॉल के साथ. Okay, that is all dependent on how I can apply the different rules in different situations. Now, for example, the next time, instead of throwing the ball in the bucket, I have made them throw the ball in the basket. A new thing has been introduced. So my rule of the game has changed. Now, if my executive functioning, the mental flexibility part is working, I will not yet look for the bucket. I will know now, okay, I have to throw the ball in the basket. Okay, so and similarly, that's the way as adults also we behave in different situations. Next one is self-control or inhibitory control. Now, suppose हम सब ने खेला है गेम लाइक साइमन सेज, ओके, या फिर हम इमिटेट करते हैं टीचर जो भी एक्शन करती है और हम भी करते हैं. सडनली टीचर ने एक्शन अलग कर दिया या कोई बच्चे ने कुछ और कर दिया, एंड इट्स माय टर्न नेक्स्ट. ओके, I should have the flexibility of changing my stance. I have to have the flexibility कि okay, उसने ऐसा कर दिया, मुझे भी change करना है. If it is my turn to wait and I need to know that I have to wait, I am controlling my eagerness to finish the work. Something very small. Very tasty food has been made today in my house. And instead of me, going to the kitchen and trying to put my hands in the bartan and trying to eat, I will have some kind of control on myself. No, I will not eat it till it comes on the dining table, on my plate, maybe with a spoon or with the hands, whatever I'm comfortable with. So basically, resisting impulses is controlling oneself or inhibitory control. Now, I've explained to you all these three and I have spoken quite a lot. I would like you to think about this game that we have all played and probably even yet play with our children. Let us understand how working memory, how inhibitory control, as well as mental flexibility would work with this game. I would like people to now, sorry. Yeah. I cannot see anyone on this, but yeah, I would like people to please answer. How would this game fit in? Anyone?
Ma'am, you would firstly need to have impulse control to wait for your turn.
Right. Okay. Since this game is generally played by 2 or more people, yes. What else?
Ma'am, apart from turn taking, in this game, one will be following the rules that when it will be on the number where there is a ladder, then he or she will take the coin up or whatever they're using.
Okay.
And if a snake comes, automatically they will come down.
Yeah. So that is which part you are using of the executive functioning skill?
To wait for the turn taking, it is like self-control or
that was inhibitory control. Yes.
Inhibitory control. And if it is like we are following the rules, then it is mental flexibility.
Yes, absolutely. And where have you used your working memory?
Yeah, working memory is like when they are saying that if the dice is showing 3, then we have to take 3 steps forward. If it is 5, then 5. That rule, memorizing that rule.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would anybody else would like to contribute?
Jyoti Moria has written in the chat box to achieve the goal.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Jyoti has responded by saying in the chat box to achieve the goal.
Okay. Achieve the goal of what, Jyoti? Can you unmute and talk? Okay, we'll move on.
So,
We can.
hi ma'am,
Haan,
Surabhi here.
Surabhi.
Yeah, so when the child throws the dice, so he has to, after throwing, when he is moving his coin forward, he has to remember how many steps he has to move forward. So that has to be in the mind. 3 means 3 steps. So that I think comes under working memory.
Yeah, okay, okay. That's good. Because you need to know, na? You have to keep it in mind how many steps and how much you need to count ahead and things like that. Yes, absolutely. Moving on. Are you born with these skills? Are you born? Do you think you're born with these skills?
Ma'am, to an extent, maybe because, see, for example, mice, they are so smart that wherever they go, they have a cognitive map to come back. They have an escape route planned before they go into a place. So that must be there in human beings too, to an extent, I feel that we are born with this.
We are born with these skills. Okay. Anyone else before I answer this question? Are we born? Yes, no?
Ma'am, actually in case of working memory, I think
you are. Okay. Anyone else?
no, ma'am, still that also depends on our learning only through senses. No,
Okay.
so we are not born with it.
All right.
Even for mental flexibility also, I think, and for self-control also, everything we have to learn only. We are not born with this quality, I don't think.
All right. All right.
I think
Let me answer
to
this
an
question.
extent that as she told, to an extent, yes, we are born with it.
Okay.
And then through
Something
environment, we learn more.
All right. All right. So actually, instead of being born with it, research shows that you have the potential to develop these skills. Okay. More than being born with it, you have the potential to develop these skills. It all depends more on the environment, okay, as to how you develop these skills. So there may be some basic structures in your brain which are giving you the potential to develop these skills. All right. So basically, children learn to practice these skills over time with adults who establish the routine for you, morning get up, brush, etc. They also break down complex tasks. Like when you have first started learning how to brush, your mummy will put the toothpaste on the brush, hold it with you, and so on. So basically, scaffolding is what is used. Most of you know Vygotsky, and that is what is scaffolding. And breaking down, the task is broken down into complex tasks. It encourages games. Sorry, by encouraging the games that promote imagination, by doing a lot of play, which is role play. Okay. So today the little girl has decided to be like her mummy, and she wants to wear the apron and enter the kitchen and does things exactly like the mother, takes the cup and saucer, probably stirs it and so on. Role playing, for following rules, and of course controlling impulses. Okay, these are all taught by the more knowledgeable other, or the parent or the teacher. Okay, that answers your question. Now let's look at how executive functioning helps us with school readiness. Basically, if you keep going back to the three sub skills of executive functioning, your working memory and so on, it's helping us in the process of the how of learning, where you are being taught how to focus or pay attention to, remember what you're supposed to be learning, and plan further. And what or the content is your reading, writing, computation, reading, writing, math. So it does help. Research shows that it does help in school readiness also, and therefore much later in life. It's a link between early school achievement and social and emotional and moral development. So we are not only talking about academics per se, but it gives us a boost in the overall, in all the domains of development. So, of course, focusing again is a very, very important task that we learn, where we focus on who the people are around us, how do they behave, how should we behave with them, how should we not scream and cry in front of others. Therefore, your emotional domain is also being taken care of. The inhibitory control, or we are controlling us. So you see little children now, when they are out, and if you shouted at them outside on the road and they're very unhappy that you have shouted at them outside on the road, they will probably just stand and make a face. They have want to scream and shout back at you, but they are quiet. So that is inhibitory control, where emotion is concerned. And your moral development, okay, being the good girl, the good boy, and moving on later to wanting to do things in the society that are good for the society as you think. Also resisting the urge to respond impulsively. So all this helps in the other domains of development other than only school achievement. Of course, social play is very, very important. As you can see over here, children, when they are imagining, when they are thinking that they are probably, fire, the children who want to go by the red truck and extinguish fires around them. So they've built something like that in the house and taken all sorts of pieces of furniture and, probably even clothed themselves up. And our children do the same. In fact, I remember, trying to take all the chadars in the house and, fixing them up in such a way on the chairs that, I'm living in a tent and I've gone out camping. So that's a very, very important playground for development of social skills. And we use all our skills of executive functioning. So we also need to be able to, other than the three that we have spoken about till now, we also need to be able to plan well. Okay, very as simple as planning your sentence correctly when you want to write down in English, planning how to solve the sum in advance, and of course later on being more creative. Task initiation is also one of the very important aspects of a good, executive functioning skill, where you should be able to know that, okay, I have planned my, whatever I'm supposed to be doing, and I have to learn to initiate or begin the task in a particular way. It can be as simple as planning your lecture in your mind and putting it down on the PPT, okay, and initiating the task. In how much time am I going to take to complete my, for example, my book report or my story, and or even planning a new game for a party, for all that. So time management. How good am I going to be able to organize and structure what I have planned? Okay. Sometimes when we are in a classroom, we have to, reorganize or restructure maybe what we want to teach. Further, our metacognition, okay, thinking about thinking. That also, if we have more strategies in our mind as to how we would complete a task, it helps us a lot in achieving further task achievements. And of course, perseverance, the need to be wanting to complete some task till the end instead of leaving it. Now, all these things I will be telling you in a little bit in the next slide, where I'll be talking about the problems that the child would probably face if they have executive functioning deficits. Let us just look at the challenges first. Organizing, prioritizing, and initiating the task. First of all, they have a problem, children with executive functioning deficits or impairments. They need not be, children with maybe autism or learning disability. They may just have executive functioning deficits. However, because these are also neurodevelopmental disabilities, children with autism or learning disability or ADHD would also show such traits. So organizing, prioritizing, and initiating the task. If you see our children with disability or any person who has executive functioning deficit will not be able to, organize themselves. So we teach them how to do mind maps, how to, put things down in brief so that we can finish the whole, report later or whatever you're supposed to submit. Prioritize the task. What should I do first? I want to play my game, but I also have to do my homework. And it's already 6 in the evening. So what do I do first? Okay, prioritizing. And of course, initiating. Focusing, maintaining, and shifting attention. Focusing on a particular task without other things disturbing you, and maintaining or sustaining that attention. Sometimes I may need to shift my attention from what I am doing to if somebody disturbs me, for example, or and then bring back my attention, or I may need to shift my attention from what somebody is saying to what I am seeing. Okay, and then I may have to write it down. So note taking and things like that would come under that. Regulating alertness. I need to be alert throughout when I'm paying my attention instead of, looking tired, fatigued, bored, where actually I am not. There's nothing physically wrong with me, but I'm unable to focus my attention and I am not alert. Sustaining the effort and processing speed. Okay. How quickly am I able to understand what my teacher has said and then give the thing back, the written product back. Managing the frustrations and regulating emotions, this we spoke about. Using working memory and accessing recall. Using my working memory, okay, I have seen this reminded me of another thing. For example, I've seen the dog and it reminded me of the cat, okay, and I've said that, okay, these are domestic animals or pet animals. I'm accessing something and recalling. Monitoring and self-regulating action. I am monitoring myself. Have I been able to do my task correctly? So I may, in the beginning, have my checklist and, or behavior regulatory systems and things like that. And I am trying to monitor myself with them through concrete methods first and then abstract, which is in my mind. Okay, now let's look at a day in the life of a child with challenges in executive function. So at 7 a.m., it's time to catch my school bus. And oh God, I have forgotten my football shoes. I again run back home and I say, and I try to run back to the bus and I say, oh God, now I've forgotten my book somewhere else. Somehow I run and catch the bus. So what has happened at this time? What was the challenge? The challenge was organization and using my working memory. At 11 o'clock, it is English period, and my teacher begins asking questions on the book she referred for reading at home. I try to hide behind my friends because I have forgotten to take the questions down the day earlier. So I don't know what I had to read. Organization and focus are challenges here. Going on at 1 p.m. Lunchtime, my favorite part of the day. I can talk to my friends about my birthday coming up next week. And of course, because it's my favorite topic, I love to talk nonstop. After some times, I realize my friends have made some excuses and moved away. The challenge is self-monitoring that my friends are bored with my nonstop talk and there is no control. There's no inhibitory control. 3 p.m. football time. As I am playing, I lose track of which net I have to kick the ball into and go in the wrong direction. My own team lost the goal and the opposite team won the goal, thanks to me. And obviously, my teammates are angry. So shifting focus and thinking flexibly are the challenges here. 6 p.m., my mom calls out to shut the TV and sit to study. I am going to miss my favorite show again. My sister is playing with her toys and making sounds. I scream at her. The challenge is managing my frustration and regulating emotions. Moving on to 8 o'clock, dinner time. I am yet struggling to complete my homework. I yet can't figure out how to begin the book report. Can you see? Initiation of the task has not happened. I did not complete the day earlier. I also need to think of the topic for my science project. Too many things for me to do. There's a new video game I also want to play. So I decide to take a break from homework and go to my video game. The challenge was setting priorities and beginning a task. 10 p.m. I tried again to begin writing my book report. I write a sentence and then I say that I will complete it on the way to school tomorrow. Itna kuch hai nahi, main kal subah kar lungi. Challenge is paying attention, staying on task, and organization. At midnight, I cannot sleep. I'm worried that my teacher will say since I haven't completed the book report yet. My friends will laugh at me for kicking the ball into the wrong hole. And this all leads to anxiety. So you see, there will be a lot of challenges for children who have an impairment or a deficit with executive functioning. Any questions till here? I know I have gone on speaking since quite some time. Any doubts on the challenges?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let us just think of, look at some of the activities for developing executive functioning skills. Right from infancy. So at infancy, the objective for the parent has to be that my child has to learn how to focus attention, to use the working memory later, and practice basic self-control skills. But whatever activity you use for your children, they have to be of interest to the child, and also कितना time उन्हें वो खेलना है उसके साथ, वो टॉय के साथ, वो बच्चा डिटरमिन करेगा पहले. फिर उसके बाद आप अलग अलग थोड़ा सा extend कर सकते हो time, you know, if it's really, really important for the child to play with that particular toy. So the activities have been grouped into different, you know, parts. Right in the beginning, when the babies are really small and they obviously can't run too much and jump too much and so on, so they are in your lap, you have games like peekaboo, okay? And, you know, lots of cooing and smiling and eye gazing. Then you go on to hiding games. Hiding games where you, where suppose for example, basic object permanence के लिए आप क्या करते हो, रुमाल डाल देते हो कुछ object के ऊपर और बच्चे को लगता है कि वो है कि नहीं है. And then when you can move on later to more difficult tasks where, you know, you put hide the coin in one of your hands and, you know, hide it behind your back and ask them which one and so on. Imitation or copying games where you you know, play things like, you know, the child will imitate you and silently, or you know, imitate your rhythm of song, for example, and so on, because you've just started talking. Simple role play. At this age, you know, children love to take out the jhadu and, you know, things like that that their mothers are using. And instead of, you know, saying ke nahi, nahi, and you don't play with that, it's a good way of enhancing. I'm not telling you make them do jhadu, but if they are doing something like that, don't stop it, okay? And it will just increase their imagination and how to, you know, later, it will lead to more complexity, complex games later. Finger play. So a lot of times we play Incy Spider, and, you know, this little finger went to market and this little finger stayed at home. Those kind of games are very, very good because they focus, they pay attention, they remember the endings, even stories that you say with a same ending again and again, and they laugh at that because they're acknowledging it, and so on. So this all helps build in infancy your executive functioning. And of course, a lot of conversations, what you see outside, dekho kawaya, and so on. So basically, you're trying to draw their attention as well as move on to working memory and inhibition. For toddlers, now at this time, language has become very, very important in developing your executive functioning and regulatory, self-regulation skills. The language not only helps the toddler, but it also will help us in understanding what they are thinking about, why are they doing certain actions, and reflect on them. And of course, make plans what they hold in mind and they use later. So language, so this is the time when you realize that, okay, certain things are dangerous and where they are concerned, you know, they'll break probably, and you want to put them higher up because they know it's going to break. Okay. And so, and of course you use language for the child to understand that, no, these are the things you're not supposed to do, and complex rules and regulation of behavior comes in. Research has kind of shown, though it's not a very sturdy research, I would say, that bilingualism is associated with executive functions. So it is seen that if the family home, there is more than one language spoken, it will definitely benefit the child with executive function skills. Some of the activities can be bifurcated into active games like your follow the leader, I am the leader, that game, and your musical statues where you play music and then you stop, and that kind of a game. Of course, song games with movements, conversation and storytelling where they narrate their own play. They say something, you know, that, okay, today I am a princess and I'm going to, you know, have a tea party and things like that. So whatever they have heard in stories, they may decide to play act. So that's a very good thing. Matching and sorting games where simple sorting you can do with shapes, and then you can tell them put the large shapes in the small box, or you know, silly sorting. Of course, simple puzzles is what you can introduce. Imaginary play, where you have a variety of household objects and toys and encourage in imaginary play. Any questions till here? Then we move on to early childhood. The objective over here is for the that younger children need support and structure over here, where learning has kind of begun. You've started going to nursery school. And the ultimate goal is for them to be independent of that support. So slowly you withdraw and you give them hints and you give them ideas and you move back. So itna bhi scaffolding abhi mat, matlab ekdam support pura mat do, thoda sa do. So here we need to, of course, support higher level imaginary play. Some things that you can do is, have them make their own play props. So ये सब सामान आपके टॉयज है, आपको ये नया चीज चाहिए पर वो नहीं मिल रहा है, तो why don't you think out of the box and make do. It helps with selective attention, working memory and planning. They also know that if, for example, they want to go camping and I am not going to allow them on a rainy day outside the house. And I tell them, make your own prop in the front room, which is like a tent, okay? And use whatever's there in the house. So I may decide to, have a chair, which will prop up the cloth, or I may decide that I need a danda, because outside in the when we go camping you need a danda to prop up the tent, but danda doesn't stand in my house, so what would I do? I can adjust and put something else. So that is using your cognitive flexibility. And it also encourages social problem solving and helps with oral language, because here, since language has started in a formal way, they get more and more vocabulary to express what they need to say. Of course, you can use storytelling, movement challenges, and cooking. So, it's not necessary it's just the boy, but you can have a girl who needs to learn how to cook. But your boy in the class can also do as much of mixing, measuring, and so on at, with spoons and things like that, which of course later on become more complex in mathematics with measurement. In middle childhood, the children enjoy games over here where they have rules. There are different levels of difficulty and interest and skill. So you may have heard of a game called Mikado, or just simple straws that you put down, and the ones that are below, you need to move them in such a way that the ones above don't shake. So either you play Mikado for self-regulation, where you have to be very, very still and, be very, very much, a lot of concentration is required. And of course, even flipping a coin, where it's really difficult when you're a little child how to flip a coin. And a lot of children practice it a lot to be able to learn that. Yes, so there's a lot of concentration, how to do it, and so on, attending skills. Other than physical movement games, children like to have time for quiet activities at this stage, where they want to reflect what they have done and strategize for something new, and they want to be left alone. This is the time when they start trying to be alone instead of needing someone all the time. Late childhood, it is important to increase the level of complexity in the games. So you can have card games, board games, learning music, dance, musical instruments, which help in coordination, planning, and self-regulatory skills. If you really break down these tasks and label them, you will realize that yes, you're using your working memory, yes, you're using your inhibitory skills, yes, you're using your attention skills, and so on. Brain teasers are again, which can be introduced over here, like your Sudoku and word search and things like that, which are a big challenge for working memory. then lastly, we move to adolescence, where you can they need to communicate effectively in various contexts. See, they are not yet, their executive functioning skills will not yet be like adults. However, they are much more better than when they were children. So but the thing is that in adolescence they have to focus on too many things at one time, not only managing schoolwork on their own, running for tuitions, extra classes, assignments, meeting up with friends, parties, as well as the other abstract tasks and projects that probably are set by the school or by themselves. So goal setting, planning, and monitoring skills are what you need to teach here, as well as study skills. Okay. So this is what it is about, where the development throughout the phase till adolescence is concerned. I would like to now, we have 5 minutes, ma'am. So with your permission, I would like to conclude with, think about your favorite childhood activity or game and analyze the executive functioning skills you used while completing the activity or playing the game.